What's up, everybody? Tyler DeLuca here, back with my 3 takeaways from this past week in women's basketball. It has been a week of absolute chaos, y'all, and I got a lot of thoughts. Let's get into it. Well, the majority of that chaos went down in the Pac-12, and one of my biggest takeaways from this is that it's time to have those type of conversations about USC's Juju Watkins. And what I mean by that, it's that right now, the National Player of the Year award, if it was to end right now in this moment, would be headed to Los Angeles. It would be headed to Juju Watkins as a freshman, y'all. A freshman. It literally seems like she's been here before. She's done this. It's like a GOAT reincarnated in Juju Watkins, y'all. She's different. This isn't normal. This isn't normal. The poise that she has. Forget the box score for a second. She's going to make mistakes. It's bound that she's a freshman and her usage rate is through the roof, okay? The mistakes are bound to happen. She's still learning, but she's already this good. She's already this good. The poise that she has, it's abnormal for a player of her experience levels. It's not normal. And it showed in this game against number 2 UCLA on Sunday. This stat line, 32 points, 10 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, 3 blocks. Both ways, completely engaged the entire game. Y'all, this is different, y'all. This isn't normal for Juju Watkins to come in as a freshman and do what she's doing. Now, there's a lot of time left before it's time for National Player of the Year to be decided. And there's still a lot of games left, and I don't think this is some large margin between her and Caitlin Clark. I think Hannah Hidalgo has a case. Paige Beckers has a case. Cam Brink, Alyssa Peely. There's probably 7 or 8 players that you could make a genuine case for. Now, I don't know if all those would be cases that I would consider enough to be the number one, but there's cases to be made. And I just think that Juju Watkins has come in as a freshman, and her case is stronger than any of those. And that is insane to say with the amount of talent across the country in women's basketball right now, but I feel comfortable saying it. Now, there's a long way to go, but right now, not only does Juju Watkins look like the National Player of the Year, but USC, it feels like they can't keep getting away with this of just using Juju, but they are. They're doing it, and they're beating teams like UCLA in the process. They avenged their only loss. USC is dangerous. They are here. They're not waiting for another year. They have the big recruiting class coming in. They're not waiting, y'all. Juju's not waiting, and they shouldn't wait when they have a talent like Juju and some of the other talents surrounding her on this team. There's times where they can get just ball watching with Juju, but when they're active, when they're all moving around, this team is difficult, yo. This team is really hard to stop. And Juju Watkins is the head of that snake, and right now, she's at the head of the race for National Player of the Year. Let's stick in the Pac-12 for this next take. I think Colorado might just be a Final Four team. Now, they beat LSU at the beginning of the season, and I was not shocked by that at all. Obviously, LSU still had a lot of gelling to do and everything, but ultimately, I wasn't shocked by that. That made sense to me because of the way that Colorado plays, and it's the same reasons why I feel like a deep run in March is completely in the cards for this Colorado team. One, they're built on defense and effort, which doesn't really go away. You don't really have an off night with that. Not with when a whole team is bought into that philosophy. It's one thing, if you're an offensive team, you're a 3-point shooting team, you can have off nights. You can have off nights with that. But not really with defense. Not really with effort. And the thing is, on top of that, this Colorado team is incredibly balanced. You have players like Frida Foreman on the perimeter, knocking down shots. You also have Anna Vonleh down low, anchoring in the post. And then you have Jalen Sherrod. And Jalen Sherrod might just be the most underrated player in the country right now. Whatever you need, she can do. You need her to go be active on defense, she can do that for you. You need her to facilitate, she can do that for you. You need her to go get a bucket, she can do that for you. She is the most underrated player in women's college basketball right now. I think she's starting to get her just due, but she's been this type of player. She's been doing this. She's taken more steps this year, but this ain't new for Jalen. This isn't new for Colorado either, like with last season. This was the natural growth of this program and this roster. They're also a very experienced roster at that in comparison to some of the teams that we see near the top of the rankings. They're across the board experience. So you think about, you have a guard in Jalen Sherrod that can go match up with any conference's guard, because that's been a problem with the Pac-12 in the past, where when it comes to March Madness, sometimes they can't match up with those SEC type guards, a little bit more physical, more athletic, and kind of going at you. Jalen Sherrod's built for that, yo. That ain't no question. They got themselves an SEC caliber guard when it comes to playing in that way, or a guard that can go and match up with ACC guards, probably the most talented guard conference in the nation. She can go pick any of those up 40 feet. And then you get into the balance of this team. There's no reason. There's no reason why Colorado couldn't be in the Final Four when it's all said and done. And right now, they're trending upwards, y'all. A big one over Stanford. They're trending upwards. Jalen Sherrod is one of those ones at the guard spot. She's going to have a long career in the WNBA, but I really, really like what I'm seeing from Colorado. Let's move away from the Pac-12. And honestly, it was hard to pick just 3 takeaways from this week because there was so much chaos. But I feel like no conference had more chaos this week than the Big 12. It's wide open. It is wide open in the Big 12, y'all. First off, Kansas State, now ranked number 7 after the new AP rankings come out. They look like the best team in the Big 12 right now. Obviously, last year, they don't have Ayoka Lee. A huge loss. Can't really be quantified to the way that it should be because Ayoka Lee is this Kansas State team. But I really liked a lot of what I saw last year from Sundell, from Gregory, in a way that they've been able to develop themselves as perimeter players. Now you add Ayoka Lee back into that mix, and obviously she's the focal point, but that perimeter play is still there. I honestly think they can still level up a little bit more with some of their shooting splits and whatnot, but they're still very, very good. Don't get me wrong. They look like the best team in the Big 12 right now. They just beat Texas, and Texas looks like a team that's also very solid, but is in desperate need of a point guard after losing Roy Harmon. They're trying to put Madison Booker into that spot, but that's just not really where she's meant to be. She's capable of doing it to a point, but it's not maximizing her to her best potential. And obviously, you're backed into a little bit of a corner when you lose a player like Roy Harmon. So I understand the need to have her there. I get there's not a ton of flexibility there. But who was at the top was Baylor. And they lose back-to-back games to Kansas and Iowa State. And now, I think I mentioned on here, there was something missing to me for Baylor. There was just something there was something missing. And I finally am confident to say that they don't have a big. Nobody in their rotation, in their frequent rotation, is above 6'1", and they've now been hurt really bad by Sedona Prince from TCU, Tiana Jackson from Kansas, Audi Crooks from Iowa State. Texas gave them problems with their size, so they haven't lost all of those games. They blew out TCU in that, but all of those bigs have been very successful against them, and now it caught up to them in back-to-back games where they played against size. And seeing that and having such a visible Achilles heel to this team, it's hard to say when you have players like Ayoka Lee in this conference, when you have players like Tiana Jackson. I don't see them topping the Big 12. Not in this iteration. Just because they have been getting dominated when they go against size. Until that becomes an issue, or there's a way to fix that, which honestly, I don't know if they have that on their roster right now. Just based on what they have, I don't see them winning the Big 12. And right now, Kansas State's moving, but nobody has more momentum than the team that beat them. Iowa State. Iowa State picked up 2 ranked wins in West Virginia and Baylor. And ever since they've added Emily Ryan back into the lineup, they got full freshman lineups in the games at times. Emily Ryan comes in as a veteran presence, and they haven't lost since. But their freshman duo is absolutely insane. So you add Emily Ryan to that, to Addie Brown and Audi Crooks. You add her to that, Iowa State looks like a whole different team. A whole different team, and they're rolling, undefeated to start Big 12 play, and now they're in the top 25 as well, near the top of it. What's stopping them right now? Like the way that they're rolling, I'm sure there's going to be a few hiccups just because they're kind of bound to with the amount of youth on this team. But oh my goodness, get in now if you haven't seen an Iowa State game. they're about to dominate, y'all. They very well have the potential to run the Big 12 with this duo that they have. And not just the duo, but all their freshmen, really. They have so much young talent on this team. And right now, bringing Emily Ryan back into the mix to be that veteran presence at the guard position, huge for them. They're rolling. And frankly, right now, even though I do think Kansas State is the best team in the Big 12, I do also think the Big 12 is relatively wide open. To the point where a team like Iowa State, if they continue this, there's no reason why they couldn't win the Big 12. All right, y'all, that's going to do it for me this week with my 3 takeaways from this past week in women's basketball. It was an absolutely crazy one. I know LSU lost to Auburn. Didn't even get into that. So let me know what your biggest takeaways were, and I'll see you next week.